It is an honor to present Season 3 of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority's iconic web series, Conversations, where we focus on the significant contributions of some of our most distinguished members, those women who, with vision, determination, and grit in many cases, have made extraordinary contributions not only to the sorority, but to their careers and to mankind in general. Alpha Kappa Alpha's Conversations is an extension of our historic Heritage series, which was introduced over 50 years ago. And so we're very pleased to have this third season where we will focus on some women who have made their mark not only in the sorority, but as mentioned earlier, on all mankind. So in the words of our legendary soror, Dr. Maya Angelou, we say to you, we still like air, rise. That is the story of Conversations. Welcome again to Season 3. Soror D'Angela, welcome to Conversations.
Thank you for having me, Madam Supreme.
Great. How do you think attending Spelman College and also joining the sisterhood of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority prepared you for the entertainment industry? And then are there any particular lessons learned during that time of your life that still applies today?
Well, I owe everything to Spelman College. As they say, it is the premier finishing school for African American women. So you can't get any better than that. And then you add that with Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and it just makes for a combustion of greatness. I believe that Spelman has taught me to be relentless and resilient. I think being a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority and the initiation process taught me to compromise, taught me discretion. Like I said, I think that both of them combined contributed to who I am as a woman today.
You spent your educational career focused on political science, corporate leadership, and then you graduated with 2 advanced degrees, including a law degree. What caused you to shift your focus to the entertainment industry?
You never know what you're going through, how it will contribute to your makeup going forward. It's like if you look back and you start connecting the dots, you see that every phase contributed to who you're going to become and who you ultimately are. I went to Spelman and majored in political science because I wanted to be the mayor of a city. I wanted to be the mayor of Houston, to be exact, where I'm from. However, when I got to Spelman, I realized that there's power in media. So I made the choice to not go into politics per se. But when I graduated from Spelman, I sent out 3 resumes. One to Miss Kathy Hughes, one to Oprah Winfrey, and one to the then editor, Susan Taylor of Essence Magazine. And when neither of them called me for a job, I went to law school. That's kind of what you do. You go to law school when I hate to say that, but that was my path. You go to law school it was my backup plan. While I was at law school, I didn't have a particular focus, but I did take a lot of entertainment courses, some international courses. And then I graduated from law school and started the practice of law in Pittsburgh at one of the largest firms there, Reed Smith, and I absolutely hated it. It stifled my creativity. I didn't think that law was fair at all. I think that it was not a good fit for me. It was not a good fit for my spirit. So I then moved on to Atlanta to be in some form of entertainment business. And I chose Atlanta because New York and LA seemed so overwhelming to me. And Atlanta seemed accessible. I was young, I was married, and I was like, okay, I can do Atlanta. And then at the time, the music business was starting to bubble in Atlanta. So we went there and I started producing music videos for, I did commercials for LaFace, I did music videos for So Def, I did Outkast videos. So that's where I got my entertainment, that's where my career really formed, was in Atlanta.
Sounds like you're not afraid of change. So what advice would you offer our young sorors who are hoping to make big changes?
You just have to do it. I mean, change is the only constant in life. So either change will force you to change, or you can change. You can be proactive and change for yourself. So when I started doing music videos at the time, and for some of you sorors, I may date you here, but there was a time when MTV and BET, they were really huge, and they played music videos all the time. And they would have the music video, well, actually, they would have the song title, the artist, and the label. After a time, they started putting the directors' names on the chyrons, right? So I got into music videos during a time where people didn't know who the music video directors were. So you can go in with the best concept, proof that you can do it, and a budget, and you could get a job. But once they started putting the directors' names on there, artists started to say, well, my label doesn't support me unless I get a big director, a big named director. So we had to pivot. We had to pivot from making music videos to making movies. So then we started flipping movies. We would make a movie independently, flip it to a studio, then the DVD business started to flatten out. We had to pivot, and we started making television. All of those things were conscious decisions made prior to the decision being made for us as a company. So my point is, going back to your question, is change will get you, or you can change before it does.
How important is it for you to bring more minorities on as influencers in cable television?
So I think that it depends on where you're seated. Where I'm seated, I am the head of original programming for an African American network, which allows me the opportunity to tell stories for people of color. I don't believe that you have to be the same color to tell a story about people of the same color, unlike Hollywood seems to think. So I think that as in my position, I have to make sure that there's balance. I just don't like to come to a set where the network's black, the talent's black, and every other person on the set, except for maybe a PA, which is a production assistant, or the hair and makeup are black. Like, that's a problem. So I have to make sure that there's balance on every single level. And I actually, I don't like the word diversity. Diversity for me, there was a lawyer that coined a phrase that said that diversity is being invited to the party, right? Inclusion is being asked to dance, getting on the floor, getting it in, being at the table, partaking. It is not just about being allowed to come in. People have to be allowed to come in, and they have to be allowed to make decisions. They have to be allowed to grow within their careers so they can be at a table where they're in a position of power to make decisions.
Sorry, D'Angela, TV1's programming mix has become increasingly diverse since you became the head of original content. What is your hope for programming in terms of where you'd like to see it go from here?
When I started, TV1 was primarily known for its unsung franchise. But since then, we've grown Monday nights into a destination for true crime and justice enthusiasts. We've also created a movie of the month strategy where we make original movies. We also have a daily news program since I've started. So yes, the content mix is as diverse as can be for a general entertainment network. In the future, I think the only thing that we have not done or mastered is the 1 hour drama. So we are currently in development on multiple projects. And, the challenge for us is that there are so many people so many networks rather, that are coming after the African American audience, just with a fury. So we just have to make sure that we stay in the game and that we're competitive, because a lot of these other, networks and platforms, because they are primarily mainstream, they have far more resources than we do. So we have to make sure that with our limited amount of resources and original programming hours, that we're maximizing them to the fullest, that we're giving great content that you can only find on TV1.
Sorry, D'Angela, we like to close out each show with a key question, which we have here in conversation around fearlessness. In your life, what does it mean to be fearless?
Fearlessness requires all of us to look inside of ourselves and to listen to that voice that tells us what we should be doing or what we should become. It's that passion point. Part of fearlessness is listening to that voice. The second part is being obedient to that voice. And the third part is working like hell. That's it.
And the key question and the key theme that seems to run through your life, based on what I've heard sitting here, is not be afraid of change and not being afraid to course correct when you decide to go in a different direction. And so what advice would you give not only young sorors, but just young people in general around change and making abrupt changes if you need to, if you find that you're not in the right course?
What I would encourage people to do is to always self-audit and audit your environment and map out your changes before the changes get to you, because change is inevitable. So what I'm suggesting is that you use a navigation system that predicts what's going to happen in your life instead of just using a plain navigation system that comes standard in your car. Like for me, it would be foolish for me to only focus on cable television at this point in my life. Cable television is becoming a dinosaur. So what I have to do as a professional in the cable television business is to make myself astute and more aware of what's to come. So what's next is the Netflixes of the world, the Amazons of the world, digital content, TV everywhere. Change is going to happen everywhere you go, no matter what your work environment is. So you have to be able to forecast what the change is in your respective life and in your respective business, and you just have to do it. You cannot wait for someone else to force you to change, because it's more painful when forced. Be a student of whatever it is that you do. Study people, and there's nothing new under the sun. So disruption happens all the time.
Absolutely.
So just be a student of what successful people have done to master disruption.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Sir D'Angela, for being a part of Conversations, and continued success to you in your role at TV1.
Thank you for having me.